So, something is wrong with my Harley Softail engine. I'll tell you all about it inside. Hello, welcome to Revelator Alpha. Hope you're enjoying the channel and this series of videos. Please like, share, subscribe, leave loads of comments below and check out the website revelatoralpha.com. So I'm talking about troubleshooting some problems with your engine. It's not running right, you're hearing abnormal noises, there are some issues with it. I've got the owner's manual out and I've also got the service manual here, so I'm going to talk about some differences and talk about some of the things that you can actually discover yourself, and then possibly, if you're not going to work on the bike yourself, you can relay that information to your mechanic, to your Harley technician, so it'd be a lot easier for them to diagnose the fault and then hopefully get your bike squared away pretty quickly. Okay, so let's just talk about now spark plugs. Okay, spark plugs are one of those things that lots of people don't really consider as that important when you talk about overall motorcycle design, but actually they're possibly one of the most critical parts of engine running and everything like that. If you've got a fouled spark plug for whatever reason, then it's not going to work properly, therefore it's not going to give off the right spark, and therefore that's going to affect your combustion and overall the way your engine works. So here in the service manual, it actually talks about a spark plug fouls repeatedly. So why would your spark plug foul repeatedly? It's either a fuel mixture is too rich. In other words, it's getting lots of carbon deposits on your spark plug, and that means that it's the fuel air mixture within the cylinder isn't quite right, and lots of carbon deposits, and basically it's not going to spark properly. Okay, because you haven't got metal, you haven't got clean surfaces, everything's going to be caked in grime, let's say, on that spark plug, and that's going to affect its operation. So it could be, for whatever reason, it's not the right spark plug. Okay, for whatever reason, that spark plug is not right for that engine. Somebody somewhere has put the incorrect spark plug, so that could be the reason. Spark plugs operate in lots of different ways, and there are specialists who deal in this, and it really depends on the length of spark plug, the anode, the cathode, whatever. It's all above me as well, I must say. But you will know that a particular spark plug will have a serial number, and that will be for your specific bike engine, and then that's the most critical thing that you need to remember about this. So you've got a spark plug that fouls, so it could be piston rings, it could be that kind of thing. Why is it piston rings that are worn and damaged? Well, that's because it's letting oil into the top, from the beneath the piston. It's leaking oil through, and that's what's causing it. You may see excessive oil, smoke rather, coming out the exhaust if that occurs as well. And then you've got the valves, the valve guides, the seals are worn, they're badly worn, and that's causing problems with the fuel air mixture and compression, and also on the exhaust as well, phase cycle, so that could be causing issues. Now here in the owner's manual, it basically says pretty much the same thing. It actually says the fuel mixture is too rich, incorrect spark plug for the service, yeah, okay, incorrect fuel, it says here. Okay, I mean that's interesting as well, because if you've got Harley specifically, actually all bikes, they will tell you what kind of fuel they want you to put in that bike. If it's regular fuel, some people may consider, oh, I've got some fuel that I can get hold of that's a different octane rating, yeah, let me put that in there. That might affect your engine, your spark plugs, your fouling, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, again, it's one of those things as well. Okay, so those are the things that you need to consider. So whilst there's only a couple of things here in the owner's manual, the service manual goes into it just slightly more detail there. Okay, so the next thing is you've got something pre-ignition or detonation. going on. Oh my god, that sounds very very serious. But it's also basically if you've got a knocking sound or a pinging sound, that's basically what you're hearing. And in the service manual here, it's fuel again. It's a fuel octane rating too low. Okay, faulty spark plugs for whatever reason. They could be found. They could actually just be old, crusty spark plugs that need to be changed out. Get rid of those bad boys and stick some new ones in. It could be the incorrect spark plug for the kind of service. You know, it just could be the wrong spark plug. Excessive carbon deposit on the piston head or in the combustion chamber. Well, you know, this could be worn piston rings that cause an excessive carbon there as well, you know, and fuel air mixture incorrect over a period of time. You know, you wouldn't expect to see, you know, carbon on a brand new piston, but over a period of time, unless something is seriously wrong, then you would see something else happening as well. But you know, that could be an issue as well. Ignition timing and advanced due to faulty sensor inputs. Yeah, so you've got your ignition timing is out of whack. It's not working properly, and that's due to sensors, faulty sensors. The TMAP, which I said in the previous video as well, and the CKP as well. You know, those are things that you need to look at, which are, just for your information, it's the temperature manifold, absolute pressure sensor, and also the crank position sensor as well. Okay, the ignition timing is advanced due to ECM or sensors, which, you know, other sensors which could be defective as well. You know, any sensor that is incorrect, faulty, or misreading, that will cause an issue. The intake manifold has got vacuum leaks. You know, vacuum leaks. God, they are, oh, they've caused me so many issues on manifolds in the past. Got to get that seating right, make sure there's no leaks. If you've got any leaks there, it causes a whole host of problems, because basically you're affecting the fuel air mixture that's going into the cylinder, you know, on the intake stroke. Yeah. Okay, so that's where, you know, the service manual gives you a lot more. Actually, in the owner's manual, it only gives you a couple of things. It's not very detailed here at all. Pre-ignition or detonation, the knocks and the pings. You got incorrect fuel or incorrect spark plug for the service. Well, it doesn't really tell a lot, does it? Right, okay, so let's say you got an overheating engine for whatever reason, okay? So in the owner's manual, it gives you three things. It says insufficient oil supply or oil not circulating. Well, oil is your main cooler. Let me go back a bit. The oil is one of your main coolers for your engine. Obviously, you've got air-cooled engines as well, but actually with the addition of oil that is actually cooled through the cooler as well, that's going to help you as well. But even if the oil is just within the engine, you didn't have an oil cooler, that would help with the engine cooling as well. So oil is really important, not only for lubrication, but actually for cooling as well. So there's not enough oil, you've got a low oil supply, or it's not circulating. Maybe you've got a blockage there for whatever reason. Heavy carbon deposit from lug-in engine. Okay, so you've got, you know, problems there as well. Insufficient airflow over the cylinder heads during extended periods or idling or parade duty. Now, if you check out my other video where I said about the EITMS system, which effectively shuts down the rear cylinder when you're stopped in traffic, for example, and the engine is idling in really higher temperatures. Basically shuts off the fuel supply, so you don't get the detonation going on, the combustion rather, in that rear cylinder, so that helps with cooling. If you've got poor air going over, you know, there are systems in place to actually add fans, whatever, over the cylinders for air-cooled engines. You may want to consider that if you're really operating in high temperatures all the time. But as I say, you know, Harley does have that EITMS system, that engine idle temperature management system. So check out my video for that, you know, for that kind of thing. So because they're air-cooled engines primarily, so you know, you've got to think about this. This is why you've got an overheating issue that you always have to be aware of. So here in the service manual, it talks about insufficient oil supply, oil not circulating. The oil cooler is dirty, which I've talked about. I always make sure mine's clean. I always give it a wash. You know, I'm gentle with it, but make sure that it's clean. I inspect it, make sure nothing's broken there as well. Insufficient air flow over the engine, we already talked about that. Heavy carbon deposits, ignition timing retarded. Okay, so it's actually, you know, gone back a bit due to defective ECM or faulty sensors there, the TMAP or the CKP, as I talked about. Okay, again, if you've got faulty sensors, that's going to affect everything there as well. If your mapping isn't quite right, if that fuel air mixture isn't quite right. Okay, leaking valves again. If you've got leaking valves, that could cause, you know, issues with the when combustion takes place, at what period, how much fuel air mixture is there at the time, is the timing right, so on and so forth. Okay. Right, so the next thing here is valve train noise. Okay, so if you're getting some noise out there, they're saying here in the service manual that actually valve train noise at startup, or some valve train noise at startup, is normal until the lifters fill with oil. So up there, the top of the engine, once it's all covered in oil, caked in oil, then it should all run smoothly, you know. But initially you might hear some abnormal noises there. It's basically drier, let's say. And now there's nothing in here on the actual owner's manual about this. Is only service manual here. So hopefully this helps you, gives you extra information. So, you know, valve train noise, what is it? You know, low oil pressure caused by oil feed pump not functioning properly or oil passages obstructed. Remember, the Harley MA engine had oil pump issues when it first came out as well. And they, especially with the bigger engines, or you're doing stage, now was it 2, 3, but I think definitely 4 work, they had to put in an bigger oil pump to resolve that issue. The faulty hydraulic lifters, bent push rods, incorrect push rod length, the rocker arm binding on the shaft, valve sticking in the guide, the chain tension shoe worn, the cams, cam gear, cam bushings are all worn, and the cam timing is incorrect. Those last sort of 2 or 3, anything that's worn out, you wouldn't really associate that with a new engine. We're going to be talking about an engine that's had a few thousand miles on it. But certainly timing, certainly, you know, if there's damage for whatever reason, yeah, that could happen to a new engine as well. Okay, let's talk about the last thing now, excessive vibration. Okay, so we've actually got this in the owner's manual, but we've also got in the service manual as well. So excessive vibration here. So let's just say here, the rear fork pivot shaft is loose. Okay, so I mean that's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? The front engine mounting bolt's loose. Okay, so again, that needs to be sorted out. Just as a side note, when I first got my Softail and my Sport Glide, that's one of the things that I did. And say, check my other video as well for that. I went around all the bike and I measured every single nut and bolt on the bike, and I carried the tools with me on those bikes. It's not to do any major work on the road primarily. Actually, what it is there is just to, if I feel something's not quite right, I can see if a bolt has come loose for whatever reason, I can tighten it up and then be on my way and get it checked out properly later. Those are one of the reasons. So I certainly suggest you do that. So check out that video as well, and that'll help you out in that regard. So the front chain or links tight as a result of insufficient lubrication, or belt is badly worn as well. Again, you would associate that with, you know, a high mileage bike, or you've got a damaged belt for whatever reason. The engine to transmission mounting bolts loose. Okay, depends on the actual model as well. You've got a damaged frame for whatever reason. It might have been dropped, you might have been in an incident, you know, this kind of thing. Wheels or tyres are damaged. Yeah, okay, that could be causing vibrations, rolling vibrations as you're going along. The vehicle not properly aligned. Well, wheel alignments, that's what we're talking about really there. And here we've got, you know, in the service manual, it basically talks about excessive vibration, wheels bent or damaged or tyres worn damaged. Yeah, that would, you know, let's say if you run up a curb for whatever reason at speed, you could have damaged the tyre, could have damaged the rim. That would cause vibrations. Engine transmission rear wheel not aligned properly. Yeah, primary chain badly worn, all links tight as a result of insufficient lubrication or misalignment. Engine to transmission bolts loose, upper engine mounting bracket loose damage or mounting bracket preloaded, ignition time in advance due to faulty sensors. You know, so if you've got an ignition timing combustion detonation issue, that's going to cause abnormal vibration. It's not firing at the right time, therefore it's going to be out of sync. Internal engine issue, it could just be a purely mechanical issue, a bearing, whatever. There could be an issue there. Again, damaged frame, that would cause issues as well. Everything's not quite right, everything's not aligned because your frame is damaged. Okay, rear fork pivot shaft to fasteners loose, we talked about that. An exhaust system binding causing unnecessary side loads. Yeah, I mean, you know, it could be an exhaust issue from the valves, the exhaust valves, all the way through the exhaust system. There could be an issue as well. Okay, so that's, I mean, that's basically it. The reason why you know, getting these abnormal sounds is because something like this. I mean, we've also got one thing here as well. We've got the engine oil not circulating. We kind of discussed this already, but the oil pressure lamp is lit. The oil pressure lamp lit. Insufficient or diluted oil supply. Oil feed clogged with ice or sludge in freezing weather. In freezing weather, that is. Grounded oil signal switch wire or faulty signal switch. Yeah, okay, you got a wiring electrical issue. Damaged or improperly installed check valve. Yeah, again, this is all you have to go back to the dealer, and you got an oil pump problem as well. Okay, so that's, you know, that's all the issues there. So anyway, I hope this helps. I hope you found it useful. I know it's been a bit dry going through this video, and if you're here to the end, well done. I would always suggest looking through the owner's manual, but also get hold of the service manual as well. That will help you understand some of the faults, some of the problems that you're having, and also be able to help you to relay that information to your mechanic, to your Harley technician, and they'll be able to find the fault a lot quicker, hopefully, and you'll be on your way a lot quicker. But anyway, please like, share, subscribe, leave loads of comments below. Check out the website Revelator Alpha, and I'll come back to you with another troubleshooting video very soon. Cheers now.
Revelator Alpha.